and welcome to another installment in my South Korea series. If you haven't seen the other videos in this series and you want to check them out, I will put a link down below if you want to have a peruse. Have a little gander. If you haven't watched the other videos, this video might be a bit confusing. Who is my sister? Why is she having surgery? And why am I making a video about it and not her? My sister is a trans woman, and something that many trans people face is dysphoria, which is where their physical body doesn't reflect who they are, and it can make them incredibly uncomfortable, but it can also lead to some very, very serious mental health consequences. I mean, imagine waking up every day and who you are as a person doesn't match the body that you're in. So my sister is having facial feminization surgery and a breast augmentation to help her feel more comfortable in her own body. These are life-changing surgeries for a trans person like my sister, and they'll improve her quality of life so exponentially, I can't even express to you how important this is for her. Having these surgeries is not an opportunity that a lot of trans women get, and I'm so incredibly grateful to DocFinder Korea and Nana Hospital for giving my sister this chance at being happy. If you have any questions at any point throughout this video, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below or on my Instagram, which is here, because after both of the surgery videos on this channel have been posted, me and my sister will be answering your questions in a Q&A on my second channel, which is here. No question is too silly, whether it's about the surgery, the experience, about DocFinder Korea, or about Nana Hospital and our experiences with them. Please do leave them down below. We'd love to hear you. In relation to the companies that I just mentioned, DocFinder Korea and Nana Hospital, they actually gifted my sister these surgeries, which is completely life-changing because they're not something that my sister could have been able to afford to do otherwise, and I'm so indebted to them because they've really changed my sister's life. They very kindly gifted my sister her quarantine fee, her surgeries, and the hotel that we both stayed in during her rest and recuperation. Them having gifted this does not impact my review of our experiences with them. It's just something I wanted to make super clear so that you were all aware. Now, without further ado, I present to you my sister's surgery journey, part 1. The flight that we took to Korea was around 17 hours long, and this was because we had to do a layover in Abu Dhabi because the directs to Korea were very expensive. But to pass the time, me and my sister used the inboard entertainment for 3 hours, riveting stuff. They handed out immigration forms on the flight, and having been to Korea before, I noticed that there were a few extra forms that were related to COVID, but they're still fairly easy to fill out, so it wasn't too much of a stress. Once we had landed, we headed through the airport, and we immediately noticed that everyone was in hazmat. We got in the mandatory quarantine queue and they checked our forms, did our temperature, and then sent us on the way to immigration. Going through immigration was a little bit stressful just because there are lots of extra steps now because of quarantine and because of COVID. Before you even reach the immigration desk, you know, where they scan your passport and let you into the country, you have to sit down with a health worker who looks over your papers, including your quarantine facility form. They then call your contact in Korea and just confirm what you're doing here before signing a couple of things and sending you on your way. I didn't film any of this because I think it's illegal, so you're just gonna have to imagine it. They sent us on to the immigration desk. They took our passport, our fingerprints, and then sent us to a side room. Now this is where you start feeling like you've done something a little bit illegal, because you sit in a side room where an immigration officer does the exact same things with your passport, looks at your immigration forms, including your quarantine form, just to confirm that you are who you say you are, you're going to be in the country for X amount of time, and that you had like a PCR test before you arrived. She then gave us these red cards on lanyards and told us to wear them.
You feel like you've done something bad when you're made to wear like a red square and an officer escorts you into a side room. It does make you feel like a bit of like you've tried doing something a little bit illegal. We're just gonna go get our baggage and then hopefully get a quarantine hotel.
They put all of our baggage through a scanner again, just to double check all of our stuff, before they sent us out of the immigration hall and finally into the exit of the airport. But instead of us being allowed to leave, we were siphoned off with the other people that also had coloured cards on lanyards. The lanyards are what identify the people who have to quarantine at a government facility, and it's to help them siphon you off when you exit the immigration part of the airport. They make you sit in this little waiting area before taking you to another desk that then checks your documents and forms again. Once we got through all of that, they then finally sent us onto a coach. Now, this coach does not tell you where you are going before you get on it. Once the journey starts, they then tell you which quarantine hotel that you're going to, but you don't find out prior to that moment. We ended up staying in the Grand Hyatt Incheon, which is a really nice hotel regularly, but when you pull up and everyone's in full hazmat, it's certainly an unusual experience. Once we got inside the hotel, they completely stripped the lobby and replaced it with kind of like a training induction to the quarantine hotel. We had to take a PCR test, and this was by far the most painful PCR I've ever had. Once the tests were done, we'd had our induction and paid for our quarantine. We were directed up to our rooms, which is when it started to feel a bit dystopian. All of the elevators were blocked off. There were signs everywhere saying that you cannot leave your room, and me and my sister prepared to see each other for the last time for 14 days.
Goodbye, I'll see you in 14 days. Bye!
I already posted 2 videos in my South Korea series about my quarantine experience. It essentially involved me being trapped in a room with windows that didn't open for 14 days with no social contact. And it went about as well as can be expected. So if you want to know how that went, you can check out the South Korea series. Once we got out of quarantine, DocFinder Korea had organized a chauffeur to come pick us up from our quarantine hotel and take us to our actual hotel. And this is where I'm going to properly introduce you to DocFinder Korea. DocFinder Korea is a medical tourism agency accredited by the South Korean government. Their primary goal is to help foreigners find the perfect surgeon and guide them through their surgery experience, providing all the care and help that they need. They assign each person a personal case manager who helps you with everything from your surgery schedule to arranging all domestic travel to consultations, and they even help organize your aftercare. They take care of everything, including translation services, so they are absolutely amazing and I cannot recommend them enough. Anna, who was our case manager, was an absolute angel, and she constantly made sure that my sister felt comfortable and happy throughout this whole experience. I cannot recommend DocFinder Korea enough if you are looking to go to Korea for any form of surgery, be it cosmetic or medical. They are also making a video about Leah's journey with them, so if you want to give that a watch, I will leave that link down below. Once we got to the hotel that DocFinder Korea had organized for us, it started to pour down, like flood warning, pour down. So we quickly head inside to drop our luggage before grabbing some breakfast at the bakery next door. This was our first meal as free women, so it really was something special. After we'd eaten, we waited a couple of hours for Anna from DocFinder Korea to come and take us to Leah's consultation, which was incredibly exciting. Leah's surgeries are being done at Nana Hospital, and I cannot say enough positive stuff about Nana. They were absolutely incredible. Every single member of staff was exceptionally kind and caring. They made sure that Leah felt supported at every single point. Any questions she had were answered straight away and in detail. They really exceeded our expectations, and I honestly cannot recommend them enough. They went through everything with Leah, taking all of her medical information before they took her upstairs to do her tests. If you are a bit sensitive to blood, I'd recommend you look away now, but they did Leah's blood pressure as well as taking blood work for her so that they could just check that everything was okay before surgery. Once that was all done, they took her to do her CT scans as well as her MRIs for her chest. There were so many different scans that they did, it was crazy. But everyone was so professional and kind that never once did Leah feel uncomfortable or confused. The results of her scans came back immediately, and as you can see, this is Leah's skeleton, which was then useful for the consultations. For Leah's facial feminization surgery, her doctor was Dr. Kim. Now, Dr. Kim is the head of facial surgeries at Nana Hospital, and he specializes in facial contouring, eyes, nose, and facelifting surgeries. As soon as we met Dr. Kim, we were instantly relaxed by how calm his aura was, that despite the fact that me and Leah aren't fluent in Korean, we both felt perfectly comfortable with him and everything he was saying. It was like instantly, I trust this man.
Do you have like hair loss?
네, 난 살이 없어가지고 인거이 더 떨어져 보이니까.
So he's saying that as for your facial contouring, your bone itself, structure itself is not that big, but then because you don't have that much of a facial, fat, your bones are looking more visible, more kind of thorough. But he's saying that he can suggest to make, those like square angles to smooth it down a little bit to make more, smoother feminine line.
비대칭도 있어서 턱끝이 여기가 더 많이 내려와 있어요.
And then you do have a bit of asymmetry on your chin. The right side is, drooping a little bit to the down, falling in a little bit.
리아 배트맨 씨는 코 수술과 안면 윤곽 수술을 받으실 예정인데요. 코는 이제 매부리가 조금 심하시고 뼈도 넓으시고 코끝은 좀 길고 좀 처져 있는 느낌이라 매부리를 제거를 하고 코끝을 살짝 올려주고 콧대 있는 부분을 울퉁불퉁 없이 매끈한 라인으로 바꿔줄 예정이고요. 안면 윤곽 같은 경우는 아래 사각턱 있는 부분과 턱끝이 비대칭도 있고 두드러지는 부분도 있어서 이 부분을 조금 더 여성스럽게 부드러운 라인으로 바꿔줄 예정입니다.
After Leah's consultation, it was finally time for us to get back to the hotel and check in. Our room was really lovely and it was completely organised by DocFinder Korea. So thank you again to them because our room was really nice. This is where we would be staying while Leah recuperates from her surgeries, and the first meal that we had was actually Domino's, which I'm quite ashamed of. The next day was Leah's surgery day.
It's Leah's surgery day! How are you feeling?
Nervous.
And they took her to wash her face before she went and did her final consultations with both of her doctors. As I mentioned earlier, she's also having a breast augmentation, but this consultation happened on surgery day.
Leah looks like she's famous because she has like at any one time like 112 people watching her.
Before her surgeries, they went through all the paperwork and made sure Leah fully understood the risks and complications. For Dr. Kim Hyung-jung came in and did all of her facial lines for her surgery. This is where he went through the final surgery plan with Leah, making sure she was fully aware of what he was going to do so that she was 100% comfortable with everything.
Remove the hump
뼈 있는 부분 좀 좁히고
and then do the osteotomy to make your bone narrow.
코끝은 살짝 이렇게 좀 올려서
And he will lift up your tip a little bit so you can match the line.
그래서 일단 약간 울퉁불퉁한 코 이제 라인을 조금 매끈하고 이제 여성스럽게 이제 바꿀 거거든요.
So by doing that, your oversized profile, the nose line will be much smoother than now.
After her facial feminization surgery, we had her breast augmentation surgery, and we had way too much fun squidging breast implants. I'm not proud of it, but it was very fun. Leah's breast augmentation was being done by Dr. Huang. He is the head doctor for breast surgeries at Nana Hospital, and he specializes in breast augmentation, breast lifts, breast reduction, and also tummy tucks. He was incredibly professional and gave my sister every single opportunity to ask questions and made her feel exceptionally comfortable. And the main issue that they had was that Leah has quite broad shoulders, so they had to make sure they gave her a bust that matched and didn't look disproportionate, and that the end result was really natural. Honey, the translator, was amazing at making this super clear to Leah, and the consultation went super well.
감사합니다. 리아 씨는 가슴 확대 수술을 하게 될 건데요. 피부가 조금 얇은 편이시고 유선 조직이 거의 없으시기 때문에 자칫 잘못하다가는 좀 티가 많이 나고 부자연스러운 가슴이 될 수도 있습니다. 그래서 리아님이 갖고 있는 흉곽 크기 그리고 피부 두께에 맞춰서 C컵을 목표로 오늘 수술을 하기로 했습니다. 사이즈는 360cc 오티바보용을 기준으로 할 거고요. 잘 진행을 할 예정입니다.
After all the consultations were done, there was just some final pieces of paperwork that Leah had to sign before she did a little bit of an interview for Nana's own YouTube channel. If you want to check that out, I'll leave a link down below. She was incredibly anxious at this point just to get the surgery done with. She just wanted to go to sleep and wake up with a banging pair of boobs. They took us downstairs to the operating theatres, gave Leah an excellent pair of slippers, and then took her for her life-changing surgery. And that is the end of part 1. The next episode comes out on October 24th and follows Leah through her recovery process, her post-op appointments, as well as her before and afters. So if you are interested in that, make sure you tap the little notification bell. It sends you a little message saying, hello, part 2's uploaded. Thank you so much for watching this video and for all of the support that you guys have given this series so far. The love that my sister has received in the comment section is incredible, and it is something that I'm exceptionally grateful for, because being so open on the internet as a trans woman, as she has been, makes her a target a lot of the time, and every single comment I've seen pretty much has been nothing but love. So thank you so much for being the supportive and wonderful community that you are. I'm incredibly blessed, and I know Leah's very grateful for every single comment. If you want to check out a sustainable and ethical clothing brand, my clothing brand YDYB, we do have some sizes left of our season 2 drop, and it actually has Hangul on it, which is very on brand. What's even more on brand is the fact that £1 from every single season 2 order goes to support LGBTQ+ youth in South Korea. So if that's something you want to support, there's a link to YDYB down below. Have a fantastic day, remember to hydrate, and I will see you lovely lot on October 24th. Kisses to your mother!